there, YouTube. Welcome back to the workbench of the Allegheny Northern. Gonna do some things a little different here for 2020, and that is I'm gonna start breaking these videos up into different series. And I know you're saying, well, you haven't done a video in so long. What do you have to talk about? Well, I've got a lot to talk about. So the first thing that we're gonna do, and we're gonna start off with, is new purchases. So when something new comes to the railroad, something that I think that maybe you might want to purchase for yourself, I'll do a little review and I'll let you know what I think of it, how it's performing on my railroad, give you some insight before you go out and buy things. The next thing I'm going to do is operations. So now that my layout is DCC, I've been spending a lot of time running trains. That's why you haven't seen any videos, because I'm trying to get used to the new controls and trying to get used to all the CV options and all the different things that go along with DCC. It's been quite a learning experience, and I'm someone who's rather tech savvy, and I have found it challenging for what I'm trying to do. So I will try to impart some wisdom on those items for you. The next thing I'm going to do is, if I'm doing some models or changes to the scenery, I'll show you that stuff as well, just so you can see the things that have been built, the things that I've spent the time and the effort into to make the layout look more realistic. And then the last thing will be just basic rail fanning along the line. That's just a video showing you trains running through the scenes that you've all come to know and love. So you're going to break down now 4 categories: your new purchases, your DCC, your operations, and then of course the layout itself as to what's changing on there. So first section here, we're going to go into some new purchases. One of my favorite manufacturers, Microtrains, has released a maintenance away 4-car pack. The cars are, there's 4 of them here obviously. There are 2 of each. There's 2 of the rapid discharge ballast cars, and there are 2 gondolas, and they all have loads in them. So they come already set and ready to go. There's a little bit of light weathering on them. I don't know if you can see it quite there in the light, but they need a little bit of additional work. They are layout ready, so if you want to get them out there, there's your tie loads. All it needs is the tie crane sitting on top, and these things are ready to go. Also picked up a couple of Atlas. These are the Herzog, also maintenance away gondolas, so they're going to run in the same train. And one more of the rapid discharge cars for the ballast. Now the intention with these items is this is going to add an operational interest to the layout. It's going to add slow orders on the main line because of the maintenance work. It also is a source of train traffic for the quarry, seeing which you've seen in other videos. The next purchase, this is from the folks at Trainworks. These guys really do good jobs with modern tractor trailers and vehicles. This is no exception. This is a Freightliner. I'm not sure where exactly I'm going to place it yet, whether it's just going to be on the open highway or whether it's going to be in the intermodal yard, but it is my favorite color. It's a nice dark blue. It has all of the mirrors on it. It has all of the exhaust details, fifth wheel, all that sort of stuff. One thing to remember about these vehicles is a lot of these are going to be owned by the person who drives them, so they're going to be clean. Truckers take care of their vehicles. It's their home away from home when they're working. So this is going to get just a little bit of light weathering on the tires and on the fifth wheel, and that's pretty much all that this is going to see. So that's pretty much almost ready to go there. The next thing is from somebody who I've never heard of before. They are called Jacksonville Terminal Company, and they have produced these intermodal chassis. These things are really nice. Not only, once again, are they blue, but they are labeled. They've got the reflective striping on them, plus some information as far as the trailer itself. And it's a little hard to see here, but these are really nice. They come in a 2-pack. The supports here, there are 2 modes. There is the ones for if you're in traffic and they're ducked up, and then there's also outriggers that are down for if it's sitting in the yard. Like I said, they do come in a 2-pack, so you get 2 with each of the purchases. these are really nice. I'm looking forward to getting these onto the layout. These are going to see a little bit more grime than the cab is going to, just because they're they're in service, and they pretty much, as soon as the load comes off, new load goes on. There's not much time to hose them down, and they're on the road, so they get dirty. The next purchases, I'm sure you guys have all seen me replace the decoders. And I've got just a few more locomotives left, so this is one for one of the remaining SD60s that I have. It was my mistake. I just plain out miscounted. So that finally came in. And then I've got one here that I think is going to be interesting for everybody. It is TCS's CN and CNGP. And you say, okay, well, what are those? They are designed for split board locomotives. And I happen to have two of these in my collection. One is an old Lifelike, and one is an Atlas Classic. I believe it's an RS. It's either a 2 or 3. I can't remember. And these two models are designed to give you the DCC control without having to fit one of the universal decoders in there, which require you to cut down the chassis frame and do all kind of soldering and stuff. Now these do have some soldering components to it, but it's all still slip into the frame. So stay tuned for a video detailing how this stuff is going to go together. These are a little bit more expensive than your regular decoders. So if your regular Digitrax, let's say, is around the neighborhood of $30, these are closer to $50. But if you're like me and you don't want to spend time with your Dremel cutting out the chassis and trying to get all these wires figured out, it's worth the extra $20 to go with something like this. So stay tuned for that video. And now we'll take you over to the layout to show you a couple of changes that have happened over the last few weeks here while I've been somewhat quiet online. Okay, at the layout now, and what you're looking at is the Kato crossover. It is the single crossover. It comes right over left, left over right. And I installed this here because there was a fundamental operational problem that I found. And that was that trains coming from the downtown part of the layout were pretty much stuck on this side of the layout until they went all the way around, and somewhere right about there could cross over. So that was not operationally helpful to me. So I put these crossovers in now, so if the train is coming from either direction, it can either depart or arrive at that yard without having to traverse the entire layout first. This is a simple thing, but it's really convenient. If you don't have this thing plugged into a power source yet, so you're operating it manually, one throw of the switch will throw both switches. So they're interconnected, and you see that they're both lined now, and then we'll switch them back. They're both lined for the main. It's a little thing, but if you own any of the double crossovers, and there's two of them on this layout, you have to flip all four switches manually if it's not remotely controlled. Eventually all of these switches will be remote controlled. I just have not spent the time. It wasn't worth the effort. So there are two of these. One is located right here. The other one is located across the layout right after that bridge. Now what that does is it allows trains from this area here, which there's several industries to be switched, to cross from either side back to the small yard that sits in the back, and also the interchange. So we'll go over and take a look at that now. Okay, there's the other crossover. It is obviously a train's occupying it now, but it's designed not as so much as a free flow, but it allows for switching moves. So if you're working any of the industries that are set back here, of which there are four presently, if you count the recycling plant at the end there, you can get over to that yard by simply pulling out onto the main and backing into this switch configuration. Also, The same is if a train is dropped off for you in the yard, you can go retrieve it, and you actually have two options. If you slide back out this way, there's actually a double crossover that's right here where the locomotives are. You can see the part of it there, or you have that option down there. So that added a lot of flexibility to the layout. One last little update. I did complete this little control. It used to be an old interlocking tower. It's a very small kit, obviously not used anymore because of centralized traffic control. But it is it's a nice little relic on the layout. Something that the railroad's just not using, but doesn't necessarily need to take it down either. So the windows are busted out or boarded up. The roof's in somewhat disrepair, and it's just sort of sitting in that field there all by itself. No longer really servicing a purpose, overgrown, and there's some of our new central traffic controls that are taking over the Y here. So the next big thing that I'm kicking around a little bit that I've discovered from operations is, although this S-curve looks really nice and it's really cool when trains are going through it, it's posed some operational hazards for me, and that is that coming up this 2% grade out of town, if the train is too long and there's 3 or 4 locos pulling on the front, and it probably only needs 2, but 3 looks better. Sometimes I get a jump here, and the cars pull off, and it looks like what happened at Horseshoe Curve. So I've tried to rebalance some of the trains a little bit to run temporarily, but in addition to that, although it's running around this industry right now, this yard is a little bit too small for the purpose, because now this yard is servicing the interchange track, which is right here, that'll go up to the future second deck. There's a helix buried in the back, and there's also, you can see that double stack car there sitting in the staging track. But I'm thinking about fixing 2 problems here. One is, if I straighten the main line out and run it back through where the coal mine is now, I can make one giant receiving and departure yard for the power plant. That would mean reworking the recycling plant back here, the scrap steel plant yard. It would mean changing this configuration, probably adding a Y out of there to get to whether you're going east or westbound freight, and then that would all become mainline running along the back. It would also become all yard tracks. This industry would move to the front. This scene may change to a new location. Obviously, I'm a big fan of heavy equipment, so it's not going to go away. It would just go somewhere else. But that's something I'm kicking around operationally. Haven't made any decisions yet if I'm going to do it. There's a handful of switches back there. There's 2, and you can't access them. But they are remote controlled. They're the only 2 right now on the layout that are. Actually, you can't even see the lake that's buried back there. And there's the lake. It's kind of whiting out on the screen, but there's a lake back there. Just because the scenery is a little bit high there. So I think at minimum, I'm going to change some of the scenery here, just so that you can see what's beyond. Make this a little bit more operator friendly. Right now, you are reaching over the layout to access any of the points here. And it's just not a good situation. That's how things get broken. So I'm considering about redesigning this side of the layout. Stay tuned. I don't know if I'm going to do it or not. It's just something I'm kicking around here as I find out about different operational challenges. Okay, that's it for this video. Stay tuned for the future DCC class on the split decoders. And then also, once I get things up and running clean a little bit, we're going to go ahead and do a video of just some trains running, because I haven't done one of those in a while. And then also, we're going to do a history of the railroad, so that the backstory that's been in my head can now be in your head, and you'll understand what I'm doing here and where I'm going. Until next time.